industrial tragedy. My colleague and brother, Mohammed Kudu Abubakar, and I are highly honored to have the privilege of anchoring this august occasion and to share the glorious moment with you all in ushering such an unprecedented platform for the participation of both Nigerians and our esteemed foreign guests in the development of the North and by extension, the rest of Nigeria. In opening the doors, I am to reiterate that the two-day occasion is not a political event in any form. Rather, it is an economic quest long overdue. The maiden edition of the Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit 2025 is a clarion call to all well-meaning Nigerians, both leadership and led, with a good conscience to rescue the region from its challenges by joining efforts to address its development deficits, which have proven pretty challenging to a near point of becoming an existential threat. However, it is in our indomitable spirit not to be vanquished by challenges, and through this onerous event, we can see a reawakening, the determination to focus on the region's natural given resources in the mining, agricultural, and power sectors is just the beginning, and we will, in the summit's projected period of 10 years, see more developmental agenda beyond the imagined. It therefore gives me pleasure to bring onto the podium our father, uncle, and leader, and the convener of the Northern Elders Forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi, to deliver his welcome address. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate as we invite the convener to deliver his opening address. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, equally represented by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Your Excellency, the Vice President, equally represented, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of House of Representatives, who is here present, Your Excellencies, the Governors of the Northern States and the Federal Republic, Honorable Ministers of the Federal Republic, our keynote speaker, ambassadors and high commissioners, captives of industry, development partners, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I stand to represent our esteemed convener, who is supposed to have been here, but as things will happen, is not available, and has asked me to read his speech. My name is Air Marshal Al-Amin Dagash retired. It is my single honor and privilege to welcome you to the maiden edition of the Northern Nigerian Investment and Industrialization Summit 2025, organized under the leadership of the Northern Elders Forum. This historic gathering is not political, neither is it ceremonial. It is a mission of prosperity, a rally call to action, and a decisive step towards building a sustainable economic future for Northern Nigeria. The theme of this year's summit is Unlocking Northern Nigeria's Mining, Agriculture, and Power Potentials, which we briefly say MAP 25. It is not just a theme, it is a 10-year blueprint for transformation to the year 2035. It is a framework designed to reposition Northern Nigeria as a hub of innovation, industrialization, and inclusive growth. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the backbone of Northern Nigeria's economy from colonial times through the early years of independence was agriculture and an extensive network of rail lines which facilitated the movement of groundnuts, cotton, hides, and skins, solid minerals to the coastal states, predominantly Lagos, for exports. That legacy demonstrates two enduring realities. The North has always been the engine room of Nigeria's productive economy. Our challenge has always been infrastructure to link our vast resources to market. Today, those realities remain unchanged. Northern Nigeria is blessed with abundant mineral wealth, fertile land, and vibrant human capital. But without modern infrastructure, railways, roads, power, and storage, the full value of these resources cannot be realized. This explains the growing preoccupation of government agencies and stakeholders with exploiting our region's tremendous mineral resources, yet, as elders, we must stress, without corresponding infrastructure, these efforts will remain suboptimal. We as elders strongly believe that for government to deliver meaningful impact, there must be deliberate commitment to the mining sector and its related services. Imagine the multiplier effect: industrial growth, job creation, poverty reduction, and renewed prosperity for our people if mining is properly harnessed, linked to value chains, and supported by strong infrastructure. It is also pertinent to bring to the fore the issue of project financing. We must express our continuous concern that unless government and financial sector review their policies, businesses based in northern Nigeria will remain disadvantaged. The current practice where entrepreneurs can only access substantial credit if they hold properties in Lagos or Port Harcourt is unjust and exclusionary. If this persists, it effectively excludes northern entrepreneurs from full participation in the Nigerian economy, despite the fact that their assets which is lands, farms, mines, and enterprises, hold enormous value. Therefore, we demand the urgent review of the following extant policies. Policy review on collaterals, that government and financial institutions should adopt policies northern-based businesses qualify for credit facilities using their northern assets as collateral. Inclusive assets for landowners, that landowners and communities in the north be granted equitable access and priority in mining opportunities, so that the very people on whose land these resources lie can directly participate in the prosperity they generate. We are home to over 160 million people, including nearly 90 million youth, which is Nigeria's largest demographic bloc. We hold 75% of Nigeria's arable land, making us the nation's food basket. We are richly endowed with over 44 solid minerals, including gold, lithium, uranium, coal, oil, and gas. Harnessing these resources is not just about regional growth, it is about national stability, industrialization, and global competitiveness. Through this summit, we aim to reignite industrialization across northern Nigeria, attract investments into mining, agriculture, power, and allied industries. We hope to unlock opportunities for youth employment and entrepreneurship, strengthen peace and security through exclusive development, promote public-private partnership to accelerate infrastructure development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we cannot delay any further. The resources are here, the people are ready, and the time is now. Let us be clear. If the North rises, Nigeria rises. If Nigeria rises, Africa rises. This summit marks the beginning of a decade-long journey. The North must work it with determination, unity, and vision. On behalf of the Northern Elders Forum, I welcome you once again to this historic summit. May our deliberation today ignite the spirit of innovation and lay the foundation for a prosperous Northern Nigeria under the map 2025. Thank you very much. Signed, Abdi Abdullah.
Thank you so very much, Air Marshal Alamin Dagash, sitting for the convener, Professor Angu Abdullahi, who is unable to be with us here today. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of speakers at this event, and we'll kickstart the goodwill messages by, first of all, taking a brief message from our chairman of today's event, and join me in warmly welcoming to the podium His Excellency Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, who is also chairing the Northwest Governors. Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. Thank you.
His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President and Commander His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President and Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, His Excellency the Vice President, also represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff, Excellencies, my colleagues that are here with us, Honorable Ministers, former Senate President, Captain of Industries, the convener of this important forum, our father, Professor Anga Abdullahi, who is also represented, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellencies, distinguished leaders of the Northern Elders Forum, esteemed Captain of Industries, our river traditional rulers, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with profound sense of optimism that I'm here today at this pivotal summit. I commend the Northern Elders Forum for its consistent commitment to the progress of our region. By convening this gathering under the theme, Unlocking Strategic Opportunities, you have once again demonstrated a clear eye focus on collective future. The choice of sectors, mining, agriculture, and power is not accidental. It is a strategic diagnosis of the core pillars upon which the prosperity of northern Nigeria must be built. In Zamfara, we are actually aware of the paradox we face as a region. A land blessed with immense mineral wealth and vast arable land, yet our people have not fully reaped the dividends of these endowments. The question before us as leaders is not what needs to be done, but how we must collectively act to transform potentials into prosperity. To attract investment, we also desperately need to industrialize our region for the benefit of the entire nation. We must move beyond rhetorics and embrace a new paradigm of collective and collaborative action. Firstly, we must collectively secure people and investments. Security is the fundamental prerequisite for any meaningful development. Investors, both domestic and international, are not philanthropists. They are realists. They will not commit capital where it is not safe. We as leaders across the 19 northern states must deepen our collaboration beyond politics. We must integrate our security architectures, share intelligence in real time, and foster greater community policing to create a secure and predictable environment. A safe north is a bankable north. Secondly, we must harmonize and simplify our policies. The current landscape where investment policies and regulatory frameworks differ and sometimes conflict from one another, create confusion, and discourage large-scale regional investment. We must work towards a One North investment policy. This will include harmonized land administration, streamline approvals for mining as well as agriculture, and a uniform tax incentive for strategic sectors. By presenting a united, predictable, as well as business-friendly front, we become more attractive destinations than any single state could eat if it is done alone. In line with the objective, I propose that Northern State Governors Forum to consider a committee of our state investment promotion agencies to draft a unified investment policy as well as a regulatory framework, which would be submitted to the NSGF Secretariat for review as well as ratification. Thirdly, we must commit to building enabling infrastructure, particularly in the area of power. No nation or region has ever industrialized with generators. The power sector is the engine room for industrialization. Taking advantage of Electricity Act 2023, we must pull our resources and political will to develop a northern power strategy. This involves not just connecting to the national grid, but aggressively investing in embedded generating from solar, hydro, as well as gas to create industrial clusters with dedicated, reliable power. In Zamfara, we have empowered the Zamfara Electricity Agency to explore partnership for solar power plants to service our agricultural processing zones as well as mining operations. This is a model we can scale regionally. Still in Zamfara, our commitment is very clear. We are moving from a past of informality and illegality in the mining sector to a regime of formalization, regulation, as well as value addition. We are revitalizing the agricultural sector through the promotion of mechanization, agro-processing, and access to credit, which is critical. And we are creating the skill and stable environment that is the bedrock of it all. But our success in Zamfara is intrinsically linked to success for the entire region. Our fortunes are intertwined. But our success is a collective one. Therefore, my call to action today is for Northern Nigerian Economic Compact, a binding commitment among the 19 northern states. Speak with one voice on security and economic matters. Create a single window for major investors looking to do business across the region. Co-invest in critical infrastructure like power, rail, and fiber optics that connect our state. By so doing, we will not only be unlocking the strategic opportunities in mining, agriculture, and power, we will be unlocking the immense potential of our people. We will create jobs for our youth, create wealth for our people, and contribute meaningfully to the food security as well as economic resilience of our nation, Nigeria. Let this summit be remembered, not just for ideas shared, but for the concrete action we all commit together. Gentlemen and my colleagues, as well as the convener of this program. It is high time we should move away from this kind of rhetorics and make it a reality. The future of our people and generation yet unborn will not forgive us. It's an opportunity that we have, and we must act quickly. Time is of essence in everything that we do, and I hope and pray this should be the beginning of the fortunes of northern Nigeria. Before I leave, I also want to advise our people, and anywhere I have the opportunity to speak, and I made it very clear, two things we must do. We should be very, very visible in the financial sector. That's one. Two, the media. These are critical enablers if truly we want to move as a region, without which we will not be anywhere. Gentlemen, I thank you for listening, and I wish you a very successful deliberation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Please, another round of applause for His Excellency, the Zamfara State Governor. Before we call on another goodwill message, let me very warmly and appreciate the presence of the representative of the Executive Governor of Bauchi State in the person of the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Aminu Hamayo. He is here, and I'm told he is on the second row. We wish to please urge him to come over to the seat meant for His Excellency the Governor, Dr. Aminu Hamayo. Your Excellency, Dr. Aminu Hamayo, please come over to the front seat. Please give him a big round of applause as he comes. It's now my privilege to call on His Excellency Comrade Yakubu Garba, Deputy Governor of Niger State, for his goodwill message. Please put your hands together for him.
Use my phone. No need. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. His Excellency the President of Nigeria, our father President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCR, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, His Excellency the Governor of Zamfara State, the Honorable Minister's presence, the Chief of Staff. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I have a speech to read on behalf of my principal, but because of lack of time, I'm just going to give a remark. First, let me sincerely, on behalf of His Excellency, appreciate and congratulate the organizers of this very summit. I believe this summit is one among many, the best, because it's coming at a time that we, the northern Nigerians, need to look inwards and see how we can reinvigorate our economy transformation. It is not a rumor or a story for one to deny that from 1966, when we got our independence, if you look at it critically,
our development trend is gradually diminishing. Far back 80s, if you go to Kaduna State, which used to be the hub of industrialization, today the industries are gradually winding off. If we are talking about issue of industrialization and economic transformation, I believe the time is now. Just like what His Excellency the Governor of Zamfara State has said, all what it takes to revamp economy is here with us, is there with us in northern Nigeria. If we are talking about landmass, we have it. If you are talking about issue of climate, our climate is one of the most favorable climate, not only in Nigeria but in Africa. If you are talking about issue of water, we have abundant water. If you are talking about issue of sunlight, we have it. If you are talking about issue of mineral resources, we have it. So all what it takes for us to be economical prosperity, we have it in northern Nigeria. But the practical result is not there. So the need for us to come together to see how we can improve our economy through agriculture, through power, and mining cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, the organizers will listen to the paper presentation, and at the end of it, we will have something to take away that will help us and help our government in doing the needful for our people and the region as a whole. Thank you most sincerely.
Please let's appreciate the Deputy Governor of Niger State again. The next representative of the executive governors is that of Borno State. Let me warmly welcome His Excellency Umar Usman Kadafu, Deputy Governor of Borno State, representing Professor Zulum, the executive governor. Please put your hands together for him.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على النبي الكريم. His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Minister of Finance, Coordinating Minister of Economy, His Excellency, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, the CON, represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Zamfara State, my colleague, Deputy Governor of Niger State, other representative of governors here present, Minister of Budget, my boss, convener of this program, ably represented by Air Marshal Dagash, former Senate President, Senator Saraki, captains of industries, invited guests, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the press, Assalamu alaikum. I'm here representing my governor, Engineer Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, the executive governor of Borno State. And I will read his speech, which is a brief one. It gives me a great pleasure to convey my warm facilitation to the organizers, participants, and distinguished guests gathered here at the Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit, MAP 2025, holding at the prestigious Ladi Kwali Hall, Continental Hotel, Abuja. The theme of this summit, Unlocking Strategic Opportunities in Mining, Agriculture, and Power, could not have come at a more opportune moment. It resonates deeply the urgent need to reposition Northern Nigeria as a hub for sustainable growth and inclusive development. These three sectors, mining, agriculture, and power, are not only critical pillars of our regional and national economy, but also hold the key to job creation, poverty alleviation, and industrial transformation. This gathering offers a unique platform to harness the weight of ideas, expertise, and partnership that can propel our region into a new era of prosperity. It is my conviction that with the shared vision, commitment, and resilience of our leaders, investors and entrepreneurs, and development partners, Northern Nigeria will unlock its immense potential and contribute meaningfully to national development. I commend the organizers of this laudable summit for their foresight and dedication, and I encourage all participants to engage constructively, explore innovative models, and forge strategic alliance that would outlive this occasion. On this note, I extend my goodwill prayers and best wishes for fruitful deliberations and successful outcomes of MAP 2025. May this summit mark the beginning of new opportunities for Northern Nigeria and indeed the entire nation. Thank you for listening, and bless you all.
Please put your hands together again for the Deputy Governor of Borno State. Let me also warmly welcome the following team leads for investor groups from Turkey, from Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Denmark, and the Association of the Sahel States. There are also representatives from the government of Sierra Leone, Portugal, and Bangladesh. Please put your hands together for all these delegations. May I therefore warmly welcome to the podium for his goodwill message, Dr. Yaqub Muhammad Al-Sawi from the Saudi Nigeria Business Council. Please put your hands together for him.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، أصحاب السعادة، الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يشرفني أن أقف بينكم اليوم زائراً ومشاركاً من المملكة العربية السعودية، من مهبط الوحي في هذا اللقاء الذي يجمعنا على أرضية مشتركة من الصداقة والاحترام، الاحترام المتبادل ومن الرغبة الصادقة في دفع العلاقات بين بلدينا إلى آفاق أرحب. لقد جمعت المملكة العربية السعودية وجمهورية نيجيريا علاقات تاريخية راسخة قائمة على التعاون والتقدير، ويأتي هذا المعرض امتدادا لتلك الروابط ووسيلة لتعزيز الشراكة الاقتصادية والاستثمارية بما يخدم تطلعات قياداتنا وشعوبنا. إننا في مجلس الأعمال السعودي النيجيري نؤمن بأن الفرص المتاحة بين بلدينا كبيرة ومتنوعة، سواء في مجال الطاقة أو في مجال الزراعة أو التعدين أو البنية التحتية أو الخدمات التقنية. ونحن على ثقة أن العمل المشترك سيفتح آفاق جديدة للتنمية المستدامة ويحقق قيمة لاقتصادنا واقتصاد البلدين. الحضور الكريم، نحن في المملكة العربية السعودية نرى في نيجيريا شريكا استراتيجيا في إفريقيا، ونؤكد التزامنا الكامل ببناء الآفاق والعلاقات التي تقوم على المنفعة المتبادلة والاستثمار المسؤول والشراكة طويلة المدى. وفي الختام أجدد الشكر لجميع الحضور على حضورهم الكريم، ولجميع الأعضاء المشاركين على جهودهم، سائلا المولى سبحانه وتعالى أن يبارك هذه الخطوات وأن يجعلها بداية مرحلة جديدة من التعاون المثمر بين بلدينا. وأشكر حكومة المملكة العربية السعودية ممثلة في خادم الحرمين الشريفين وولي عهده الأمين على ما قدموا وبذلوا وأعطوا وخدموا وسهلوا. نسأل الله عز وجل أن يبارك في الجهود، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you so very much. Dr. Yaqub Mohammed Al-Chawi of the Saudi Nigerian Business Council from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much. Once again, let me quickly refresh your minds on the translation channels. English is for channel 1, French channel 2, Chinese channel 3, and Arabic channel 4. Just a quick reminder, Arabic is channel 4, Chinese is channel 3, French is channel 2, and English is channel 1. And now, in continuation of the goodwills, may we invite for a brief message the representative of the Nasima president. Let me invite Alhaji Ahmad Rabiu, National Vice President, Middle East and North Africa, to now come and speak on behalf of the president of Nasima. Just a brief message. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Excellency, Mr. President, the Vice President, I've been told to be very brief and to recognize the governors, our eminent elders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, adopting the protocol that has been properly laid. I have a brief message from the Nasima National President, who had done everything to be with us this morning. Regrettably, he has a conflicting engagement for which he had made an earlier commitment and which he anchors directly. It's a good budget by Engineer Jani Ibrahim, the National President of NASIMA and Chairman of the Organized Private Sector in Nigeria, the voice of the business community in Nigeria, to the Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit 2025, NNIIS 2025, themed Unlocking Strategic Opportunities in Mining, Agriculture, and Power. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now whenever I say it is Engineer Jani speaking. On behalf of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, NASIMA, I am delighted to deliver this goodwill message at the Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit 2025. Permit me to commend the organizers for convening this timely and strategic gathering with its focus on unlocking opportunities in mining, agriculture, and power sectors that are not only critical to the transformation of Northern Nigeria, but also to the attainment of Nigeria's broader economic operations. For me, this occasion is particularly nostalgic. 17 years ago, almost the day, and in this very venue, we had the privilege of organizing the first Northern Nigeria Economic and Investment Summit we tagged as NICE 2008, which brought together leaders, policymakers, and investors with the distinguished former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shaukat Aziz, as our keynote speaker. That summit sought to chart a bold course for the economic transformation of Northern Nigeria. It calls for a lot of deep introspection that 17 years after, this summit is not about building on the momentum of the past, but rather it is on how to make things work. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this summit could not be more apt. Mining, agriculture, and power represent the most solid pillars upon which economic renaissance of Northern Nigeria must rest. With its vast mineral deposits, fertile agricultural land, and untapped renewable energy resources, the North holds enormous promise, not only for itself, but also for Nigeria's journey towards becoming a $1 trillion economy by the year 2030. However, these opportunities requires more than vision. It demands leadership and commitment at subnational levels. Therefore, I wish to passionately appeal to our state governors and local government chairmen in Northern Nigeria to adopt a more development-focused approach to governance. Strategic policies, transparent investment frameworks, and deliberate partnerships with the private sector are essential to transform latent potential into real prosperity for our people. I will further like to recommend the following to the subnational governments in Northern Nigeria. Number one, policy reforms and enabling environment. Recommend that they should adopt transparent, investor-friendly policies, streamline regulatory processes, guarantee security of lives and property to make Northern Nigeria an attractive destination for both local and international investors. Number two, infrastructure and industrial clusters. Prioritize investment in critical infrastructure such as roads, rail, power supply, and industrial parks, especially around mining belts and agricultural zones, to unlock value chains and attract private sector participation. Number three, education and skills development. The future of Northern Nigeria lies in the hands of our very vibrant young ones who make up more than 70% of the country's population. The quality of their education and skills, the quality of the education and skills we give them today will have consequences for our future. I appeal to the subnational government to work with chambers of commerce, industry associations, and investors to build the capacity of the local workforce and give them the ability to make a difference in the future. As the voice of business in Nigeria, NACIMA stands ready to partner with northern states and northern state governments and local governments to mobilize investments, foster public and private partnerships, and strengthen value chain in mining, agriculture, and power. Together, we can transform the North into a hub of sustainable industrialization and industrial inclusive growth. I wish the summit fruitful deliberations and outcomes that will translate into practical projects, jobs, prosperity for the people of northern Nigeria and beyond. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so very much, Vice President NACIMA. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there is yet another of those messages, and this time may I call on the Chairman, CEO of the NNDC, that's the New Nigerian Development Company, Ajian Katsina Lamis Diko. Please put your hands together for him as he comes to the microphone. Thank you so very much.
Cyril, I'm chairman, not CEO. I don't get the salary. So, Your Excellency, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister for the Economy, I want to align with the need to save time and therefore, after this, stand on all established protocols. So first of all, let me start by thanking the Northern Elders Forum for organizing this seminal event. And I said to myself, it is very, very important that it is the Northern Elders Forum that is calling us to plan for the future by thinking in the future, not thinking in the past, not using the variables of the past to think. And I think this is very, very important. By convening this summit, policymakers, investors, technologists, and communities, you have indeed created a platform for our present moment. And our present moment is the really rapid change in the way we live as a result of rapid changes in technology. There is often a line attributed to Einstein which says that doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results makes no sense. For northern Nigeria, that means we have to change our method. If we intend to bend our poverty curve and become a socioeconomic powerhouse, we must adopt a digital-first paradigm, embedding digital infrastructure, technology, data, and artificial intelligence in every initiative we do, whether it's network or factories, schools or clinics, market or ministries, church or mosque. It is imperative that we treat broadband like we treat roads. We treat data like we see oil, and power like oxygen. Because without reliable connectivity and electricity, plans will stall. But with electricity and power, with power and connectivity, especially with cloud, cybersecurity, tools like AI, productivity, transparency, and inclusion will multiply. And this is not about gadgets. It's about growth, governance, and dignity. So I think it's time we address our minds to those challenging, and I'm glad that I again want to say the Northern Elders Forum that is putting us on that path. Finally, I just want to say that our choice is very stark, very clear. We either innovate or we stagnate. The North had the scale, the youth, the resources, and the will. What we need is the method. And that method is really the technology, the digital path. In everything we build and fund. Let us change that method. Let us change the outcome. And NNDC stands ready to partner with every state government, every investor, every operator, and especially the universities, who we think also should go and start recalibrating their curriculum to reflect the day in which we live. Most universities in Europe are now changing their courses to reflect the world of AI. And we should lead that process also here. So I pray that this summit will help us deliver a northern Nigeria that is industrialized, inclusive, innovative, and future ready. Thank you very much. God bless northern Nigeria, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for the chairman of the NNDC, Ajian Katsina Alhaji Lamis Shehu Deku. If you have the program, you will see that we are rounding off the Goodwin messages. But before then, we wish to announce that the charter signing is shifted, it's going to be shifted a little further down in the program. The official announcement and signing of the Northern Nigeria Integrated Economic Development Charter with the Copenhagen handover to the NEF is shifted to later. So very soon after this very last goodwill message, we will be going into the presentations of papers 1 and 2. It's slated the future of Northern Regional Infrastructure and the paper on electrifying Northern Nigeria 2025 to 2035. But now it's my pledge and honor to call on His Excellency Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON, Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning, for his goodwill message. Please put your hands together for him.
The representative of Mr. President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my brother Wale Edun, Coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, the chairman of the occasion, and His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Zamfara State, Dr. Dauda Lawal, and the representative of Professor Ango Abdullahi, representative of the Vice President, other excellencies that are here, my boss, Alhaji Mohammed Ayatuddin, and indeed all other participants in this summit. Good morning. Let me also join in appreciating, the representative of the Vice President, Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja. Let me join the previous speakers in appreciating the Northern Elders Forum for, in the words of Ajian Katsina, for making us think about the future. And certainly when you talk about elders, they have the standing to help us think about the future. And especially convening under the auspices of Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit. And when Northern Nigeria is used, it evokes history. And certainly history is important. And Northern Nigeria is a geographical entity within the larger Nigerian state. And but it consists of diversities that hold different promises and potentials, including, of course, and most important, 19 state governments and federal capital territory, as well as over 400 local governments. And these are all decision-making units, from planning, from budgets, from administration. So the Northern Nigeria offers a broad spectrum that can provide the opportunity for different investors. Equally, our Constitution, particularly Section 16 of the Constitution, in the economic objectives of our federation, define that we should plan and create an economy that works for all. And we, in this sense, means all those in authority, president, governors, chairmen of local government, are supposed to work together. So it is recognized constitutionally that each part of Nigeria is important to the prosperity of the country. Equally, following from that, in the year 2020, among several historic attempts, we had an Agenda 2050, which was developed, a perspective plan for 30 years, which was developed for the whole country by a combination of private, public sector, civil society, and a broad spectrum of society. And that Agenda 2050 speaks to most of the issues that were raised here, speak with programs that can deliver prosperity to all parts of Nigeria. It is envisaged that that perspective plan was to be implemented by 6 5-year development plans. We had 2021 to 2025 that is just finishing. And this summit is taking place when we are just working on the 2026-2030. And I happen to, my ministry, the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, happens to be the ministry that is coordinating that effort. So for me, I believe it comes at a very pivotal moment, because two of the things we are doing, which follows from the campaign promises President Bola Ahmed Tinubu promised, that in conceiving the Renewed Hope agenda, let us not go back to the past. Blame game will not take us anywhere, but let us recognize that we are not where we want to be. And to get to where we want to be, we have to make choices, bold, courageous, pleasant, unpleasant, but those choices that can put us on a pedestal that will take us to where we want to be. And thus, the 2026-2030 development plan is a moment to incorporate some of the some of the results that will come from this summit. In particular, we are doing two things differently. We, the state governors and Mr. President and the Vice President, bear the instrumentality of the National Economic Council, have approved two things. One, a Renewed Hope World Development Program, as well as the review of the National Development Plan itself, to put one in place for 2026 to 2030. And it is going to start with mapping of the economic potentials of the 8,809 geographical wards. This is something that has been done elsewhere, and that mapping will form the bedrock of planning by states, aggregated by local governments, from the ward to the local government to the states, and then aggregated at the national level. And so this is a good moment to have people who represent different areas in the North to pay attention to when that economic mapping is taking place, so that, because it's a whole of society effort, so that they can ensure that that mapping include those things that they believe the regions or the areas of interest are captured in that economic mapping, which we will utilize over the next 5 years in ensuring that even our federal budget reflects that endogenous bottom-up mapping that will ensure that there is deliberate attempt to include every part of the country. There is deliberate attempt to support each and every part of Nigeria to do better with the economic potentials that they have. So that is, I believe, this comes at a good moment. Of course, because the coordinating minister is going to speak, and I'm sure he will say more on what we have done as administration, and I don't want to preempt him, but there are many things that have been done. The whole of the totality of the Renewed Hope agenda was to remove distortions that will ensure that when, among other leaders of northern Nigeria or any part of Nigeria meet with investors, those distortions that used to be a bar to investment have been dealt away with. A lot of institutional realignment was done to draw attention to the importance of different sectors that can contribute to prosperity, particularly in the north. Among others, Ministry of Livestock, the creation of Blue and Maritime Economy, Ministry of Creative Economy and Tourism, separation of the Ministry of Steel and Development with the solid minerals, actually even the recognition that the Agricultural Ministry should also include food security and food sovereignty, and both have an investment element to it, as well as mortgage development plan. Done the crude for Naira policy, which to some people may not appreciate how important that is. As we speak, there's a current fire raging in the country, and this summit might well take note of it, because one of the biggest investment by an individual anywhere in African continent is being threatened by misunderstanding with labor unions. That is why Alhaji Aliko Dangote is not here. And that goes to not only the north, but to Nigeria. And the chairman of the occasion has said that investors are not philanthropists, and the world nods. So if somebody has put over $20 billion in Nigeria, and that investment is being threatened, you might as well forget about going to market other investors and see they will hesitate. That's why we have to appreciate the boldness with which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said Dangote refinery and other refineries must work, including selling to them crude oil. That is as far as it can go in terms of profoundness of the mindset of our leader and his willingness and ability to take on challenges and to ensure that the private sector works. Some of the North-specific issues that the administration is dealing with are, and I mentioned earlier, infrastructure. The Renewed Hope infrastructure mechanism is designed to crowd in resources from the private sector so that we can take on historic missed opportunities in roads, in rail, in dams and irrigation, in clean energy, so that there will be cheaper, clean energy everywhere in Nigeria. And even our budgets have shown significant increase in funding in these areas: agriculture, water resources, solid minerals, light rail for Kaduna and Kano. But the totality of all these are not enough. I recall one day attending a meeting of the Northern Governors Forum when I was a governor, and together with the Northern Traditional Rulers and the current, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima was the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum then. And among the presentations that day was a presentation by the Northern Elders Forum, Saudana Foundation, and a lady who was commissioned by Devt of the UK to study why is it that private equity are not investing in northern Nigeria. And she was given the opportunity that what better forum. And among the things she said was she noticed a lot of governors going to market investors abroad. They should stop. That marketing investors require skill set. And with due respect, those skill sets can be developed by the governors. It's not that they don't have young ones that can understand the language of investors so that they can, because some do not even know that the majority of the wealth fund is controlled by sovereign wealth funds, private equity, and they need special skill set. And two, and I'm sorry, I'm very, very sorry if I speak too long. Maybe you can stop me because I just felt those are things I should share. And two, particularly for the things that northern Nigeria, what are those things that northern Nigeria, to the extent that it exists, because state creation have dealt away with northern Nigeria, with due respect. Governors are supposed to think legally and lawfully for their states. Certainly there are some things that affect the region. Trade policy can have a distortionary effect on North by more than other parts of the country. So it's good to highlight it. The consequences of climate change are investment opportunities that maybe forums like this can bring attention to. The most remarkable one, for example, is Lake Chad, a lake that was once a freshwater body almost as big as the Caspian Sea, about 400,000 square kilometers, but now under 2,000. And what is it? It's a function of underinvestment. And President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is ready to take on those tough investment drives, as he has demonstrated by all the effort in the last 2.5 years. And we are available to work with governors from any part of Nigeria so that these investment requirements, this opportunity, because part of the opportunity that Nigeria as a whole presents to the world is that maybe as we speak now, we have the biggest absorptive capacity on investment than any country in the world. And therefore, we need to marshal it, we need to market it, we need to appropriately put it in our development plan so that investors can see that we mean business. Thank you. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, for that robust speech. While he was speaking, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, came in. Please let us put our hands together and appreciate him and welcome him, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule. He is here in double capacity. He is also the chairman of the North Central States Governors Forum. Please put your hands together for him. It's now my privilege and honor to call on His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule to come and give his goodwill, and thereafter we'll go for the formal signing ceremony. Please put your hands together for His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Your Excellencies, sorry, I'm just coming in. I don't have the protocol, so I'm afraid to make mistakes. So Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, our leaders, I see my big brother, the former Senate President and the Governor of Kwara State, all the other leaders of the northern part of the country, and Nigeria indeed, who are all here, our prospective investors, and I see so many of you here. First, let me sincerely apologize for coming at this time. Our team has been here much earlier, but today is also the swearing in of the senior advocates of Nigeria at the Supreme Court. And Nasarawa State is lucky to have so many of them, and I had no choice but actually to be at the Supreme Court with them. So immediately we finish, in fact, I didn't even stay to take pictures, I just rushed down here. Because we cannot afford to stay away from an event that has northern Nigeria investment and industrialization at mind like this. I came in right when my big brother, our former chairman, former governor of Kebbi, and the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning actually was speaking, so I was able to catch up a little bit of some of the things that he said. Indeed, there is no time for northern Nigeria than now. This is the best time actually to look at our areas of competitive advantage. We have to be realistic with ourselves. We cannot actually be everywhere. We have to look at the areas where we know that we have competitive advantages, and we have to show appreciation and participate. Everywhere I am, I have the opportunity to mention this, and I'm happy both the Minister for Budget and Economic Planning as well as the Minister of Finance are here. Nigeria is facing lots of challenges at the moment. Two of the major reforms that have faced these economic challenges have to do with the unification of the foreign exchange as well as the withdrawal of subsidy. But they have also brought a lot of goodness, at least for some of our leaders. For your information, and I know most of you are already aware of what is happening, today all the tiers of government, 3 tiers of government, are sharing more revenue than they had ever imagined in their life. For the first time this month, as a matter of fact, we have seen actually over 2.2 trillion that is shared, between the 3 tiers of government. When I first came as a governor in 2019, we were sharing anywhere between 590 billion to 620 billion max. So today we are sharing 4 times that amount. Now, what does that mean to a common man, to somebody who is going through the hardship of these reforms? What it means is that today our leaders have more resources with them to be able to provide for this kind of event, this kind of investment. So in Nasarawa State, we say we have to put our mouth, actually, all the noises where we are. We always say we are a state of solid minerals. And on arrival, what the first thing we did was to say that nobody should come into Nasarawa mining until you have the capacity also to do the refining of that mineral in Nasarawa State. And that is the reason why today we have the largest lithium processing plant in Nasarawa State, which was commissioned by Mr. President last year. And this year, which is 3,000 metric tons a day. But this year, we have just completed another one of 6,000 metric tons a day, which is getting ready to be commissioned again by Mr. President. So we have to commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all his reformers who have worked so hard, to take the bullet on behalf of everybody. Because the resources are available, We have taken a decision as a state of agriculture to say that we are also going to do about 10,000 hectares of rice. Last year we harvested 2,000 hectares. This year we cultivated roughly 3,300. And my dream is that before I leave as a governor, we have anywhere between 7,000 to 8,000 hectares of land for rice. So this is what we have to do. Being an oil and gas person myself, since we came, we've been hearing about the story that there's oil in the north, oil in the north, oil in the north. I want to sincerely thank former President, the late Muhammadu Buhari, for standing behind us to ensure that that exploration actually began. He is not alive today, but we must give him the credit for that. And I thank the management of NNPC at the time, Mele Kyari, for the wonderful thing that they did. And so today, both at Kolomani, Lake Chad, and in Nasarawa, we have oil that is close to anywhere between 5 to 7 million barrels that you can actually go ahead and do inland for us. So we must take it serious. We must come in. We don't go into areas that we are not strong. What I do is that in Nasarawa, I just pick about 2 or 3 areas that I know we have the competitive advantage, and I concentrate on them. I don't want to go into areas of grammar. I go into areas that I know we have the capacity and we can fund it. And right now, there is no state governor, none, whether it's APC, PDP, coalition, or whatever party we are. Every state governor has resources available to him that should be able to invest based on what we are seeing. And for that, we are not just going to call for us in Nasarawa, we are not just calling for investors, we are calling for partners. Because when the investors come and we do the study and we believe in it, we are also going to invest our money in whatever it is that is going to be there. Because that is the only way that you can get an investor serious. So at the Northern Nigeria, I'm not the chairman, our chairman is Governor of Gombe, but at the Northern Nigerian Governors Forum, we say we must approach all these areas, but number one is we must approach security. And we should stop blaming anybody for our security. We take responsibility on our own that we are responsible for our security, and we work on our security, and we go strictly on our own security. It doesn't matter which kind of form you will do. So what we expect out of this is sincerity. We be sincere with ourselves. Stop blaming anybody. If we are blaming anybody, blame ourselves. So take it upon ourselves to go from one end to another, so we'll be able to solve our problem. And I strongly believe that's the right way to go. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, even though I came late. And I pray God Almighty will continue to support every one of us. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for His Excellency, the Nasarawa State Governor. We'll soon go to the icing of the cake, as they put it, the formal signing of official announcement and signing of the Northern Nigeria Integrated Economic Development Charter and the companion handover. But before then, let me formally, with some apologies, recognize and appreciate the presence of the Honorable Garabadatti Mohammed Babao, National Vice Chairman, Northwest of the All Progressives. He is here representing the National Chairman of the APC. Please put your hands together for him. Also here is former Senate President, Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki. Please put your hands together for him. Of course, the persons and the people who started all these issues of investments in Northern Nigeria. Let us warmly appreciate the presence of Alhaji Mohammed Hayatuddin, former Group Chief Executive Officer of the Northern Nigeria Development Corporation. The Northern Nigeria Development Corporation, if you remember, had control on all investments in Northern Nigeria. So all what we're talking about now, they started it. He will be speaking tomorrow as a lead speaker in one of the sessions. Please, once again, put your hands together for him. My colleague Cyril will come and take you through the official signing of the Northern Nigeria Integrated Economic Development Charter. Cyril.
Thank you so very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as already announced, the official announcement and signing of the Northern Nigeria Integrated Economic Development Charter and the handover of the compendium to the Northern Elders Forum. This will be in two rapid parts. For the first part of it, just before the signing, let me invite Abdul Halim Ringim, who is the representative of the Northern Economic Agenda Initiative, to the Northern Elders Forum. Where are you? Yes, just please. Upstanding here. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the representative of the Northern Economic Agenda Initiative to the Northern Elders Forum is right here, Abdul Halim Ringim. We will now respectfully, before the signing of the charter, invite the representative of the convener. And so join me as I invite Air Marshal Al-Amin Dagash to now come forward when he will receive the charter from the representative, and subsequently he'll hand it over to our chairman, and after that the second part of the signing will take place. Your Excellencies, we will invite the the convener, represented by Air Marshal Dagash, to come forward and receive the charter. Thank you. Let's applaud him as he does that. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, sir. Now that we've received the charter, the next leg of all of this, of course, will be the signing ceremony. And you can see that it's been laid out here. And of course, to sign on behalf of the Northern States governors, we've decided to make it a lot easier by asking that the document is signed by the chairman of the Northwest Governors Forum, the Northeast Governors Forum, and the North Central Governors Forum. They will sign on behalf of the 19 governors. And of course, we do know that that's been in very safe hands. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, they'll each come up stage and sign. Let me start off, of course, by inviting the one who has chaired this event so far and who is chairing the Northwest Governors Forum, His Excellency Dr. Lawal, the Governor of Zamfara State. Let's appreciate Dr. Lawal as he has appended his signature to the document. Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Now, let's invite to sign on behalf of the chair of the Northeast Governors Forum. Let's invite His Excellency, Honorable Usman Kadafour, Deputy Governor of Borno State, who will be signing on behalf of Governor Babagana Umar Zulum. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Let's appreciate him, pending the signature of the document. And of course, next is the chair of the North Central Governors Forum, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule, the Governor of Nasarawa State. Thank you so much. Let's appreciate His Excellency. Thank you. And of course, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the chart has been signed by the chairs of the Northwest Governors Forum, the Northeast Governors Forum, and the North Central Governors Forum. They've signed on behalf of the 19 governors. And so this document has been charged. Now, if you would just take a moment for the photo shoot, and we will also, after this first session, invite the conveners, representative, and all their excellencies who are on the front row. They will join in this photo session right here. Thank you so very much. Yes, are you done with this first set of photographs? Thank you. May we now invite the VVIPs on the front row, on the first row, including the convener's representative and His Excellency the President, represented by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, to join in this photograph. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Your Excellencies. Let's keep the applause running as they return to their seats. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you so very much. And now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we begin with the next couple of paper presentations. And my brother, Muhammad Kudu Abubakar, will be introducing the next presentation here. Thank you very much.
Please put your hands together for yourselves. We have doing good, so far so good. The papers. All right, we have two papers like we announced much earlier. Presentation one is the paper on the future of Northern Regional Infrastructure, and the second paper is Electrifying Northern Nigeria 2025 to 2035. Thereafter, we will now get the keynote speech of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, here ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edu. Without much ado, let me very quickly call on Professor Babakali Al-Ali from Glasgow, Caledonia University. He will be talking to us on the future of Northern Regional Infrastructure. He has just 15 minutes, but I'm told that he should run it off to just 10 minutes to make room for our distinguished special guest that has other engagements from prayer. Thank you. Please put your hands together for Professor Ali. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. President, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, represented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, and also Executive Governor of Zamfara State, and also the representative of all the governors of the states. So based on the time that I was actually given to the presentation, so I will be talking about the future of infrastructure in Nigeria. And the next slides, please. So an overview of the presentation. So I will start by
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we do offer sincere apologies. We're dealing with a lot here. As you must have been aware, earlier on when His Excellency, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning spoke, he did mention a dire situation which the government of the day is dealing with. And we've been reminded of that, and it's essential that the administration deals with what portends a grievous damage to the nation's economy. he'd spoken briefly about it, and we do know that His Excellency, the representative of the President, is deeply involved in those negotiations to nip in the bud dire situation that threatens the nation's economic fabric. And so we do apologize that we would have to amend the program a little bit more. Yes, we do know that the first paper is meant to be on at this time. In fact, it's already underway, but we have respectfully appealed to the presenter to understand the situation we're in. So we would shift it a little bit further, and this is to enable us to take, at this moment, the speech of His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, who's been represented here by His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Prince Wale Edun, and we now respectfully invite him to present the President's speech. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. His Excellency the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, ably represented by my friend, my brother, the Deputy Chief of Staff to Mr. President, Senator Ibrahim Hadeja. The chair of this all-important summit, the Northern Elders Forum Summit, His Excellency the Governor of Zamfara State and the Chairman, Northwest Governors Forum, His Excellency Dauda Lawal, the former Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, Your Excellencies, the Governors of Nasarawa, the Governor of Borno State as represented, Governor of Bauchi State ably represented, Governor of Niger State ably represented. My brother, the Honorable Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, the convener of the Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit, Professor Ango Abdullahi, ably represented by A.M. Dagash, the distinguished personalities here present, my brother Malam Mohammed Hayatuddin, who, as we learned, was very early on called on to senior leadership roles and including NNDC. And of course, my brother, Honorable Kashim Ibrahim Imam, the current chairman, NDC, our foreign investors, our all important foreign investors, private sector, public sector, government, bilateral, you are critical to what we are doing here. We are happy to have you. You are welcome. Members of the diplomatic corps, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me first of all send the warm regards and felicitations of Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is, as we know, out of Abuja on state duties. He sends his warm regards for a successful summit, and it is my honor and my distinct pleasure to be able to represent him today. This is a summit that many of us have attended many over the years, but let me just give you a sense of why we know things have to be different, but why we have hope and room for optimism. But first of all, let me go back and apologize to the professors and the two speakers that were meant to speak before me. We were and we are, as the Honorable Minister for Budget and Economic Planning has said, battling with a situation which should be of concern, and I know is of concern to all of us. The type of huge private sector investment that is game-changing, that is impactful, that is what Nigeria should be doing across the board, has been bravely and boldly undertaken by an individual, not even a government. And we are in a situation where, as government, we need to ensure that we do all we can to help that investment succeed, to protect it and to grant it its rights under the law. A level playing field, strict adherence to the sanctities of the contracts that have been signed for him. And that process, I must say, all Nigerians, whether it is the unions, whether it is the workers, whether it's investors, and so our overall aim has to be, and we have to have faith in each other that we want success in this particular institution and in Nigeria generally. So within that context, it has to be discussion upon discussion until we find a solution. And so whilst I would have loved to even stay for some of the papers, I will be going to join the discussions and the negotiations immediately that are presenting this paper. I apologize in advance, and I'm sure you will understand. Thank you. We heard today, first of all, from I think it was from the chairman. Yes, it was the chairman that opened up, and his statement was that we must turn potential into prosperity. A sense of urgency is what he impacted and what he imparted to this august gathering. Then the chairman, then the convener of NGF, he told us that we do have a history of past success in a critical area, and that is investment in infrastructure, huge infrastructure that will unlock the prosperity of the country as a whole, not even just the northern region, but the country as a whole. And we had a network of railways that was doing that. And so we are now saying we are returning to that era of large-scale investment in infrastructure without which you cannot unlock the potential we are talking about. The chairman, NDDC, he said we have to do things differently. We know that under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, things have changed. Things are being done differently, and I will go through those particular aspects. And then the Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, he pointed out to us that each part of Nigeria is important to the prosperity of the country. That's how the Federation has been set up. That's what the Constitution requires of us. And of course, if you want each part to be able to contribute, each part must be empowered. And today we are talking about the North. At another time, it will be another region, but we want all regions to contribute their own quota to a prosperous Nigeria. And of course, the governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Gov Engineer Sule, told us clearly that under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have fiscal federalism, we have fairness, equity, and what should be going to the states is being given to them. And indeed, what is owed to them from the past is being provided to them. They have record funds with which to help to develop their states. So that's the backdrop. But let me just fulfill all righteousness by, on behalf of His Excellency Mr. President, congratulating all of us on 65 years of independence. And probably more crucially, 26 years of uninterrupted democratic rule in Nigeria. These milestones, they remind us that Nigeria's future is one of resilience, unity, and boundless opportunity. So on behalf of Mr. President, I warmly commend the Northern Elders Forum, the 19 states of Northern Nigeria, for convening this historic summit. The theme, Unlocking Strategic Opportunities in Mining, Agriculture, and Power, MAP for short, could not be more fitting, because these sectors do represent the backbone of Nigeria's economy and indeed the foundation for our industrialization. But before going any further, let us, as the Honorable Minister for Budget and Economic Planning has said I would do, give us a sense of highlighting the economic context of where Nigeria is and where it has reached under President Tinubu's leadership. In the second quarter of 2025, that's just this last quarter, April to June, the GDP of Nigeria grew by 4.23%, the strongest growth in a decade, except for the COVID rebound era, the strongest growth in a decade. And since 2023, year-on-year growth has consistently been above 3%, outpacing the 2% of the 5 to 8 years previously. More critically, industrial growth, where jobs are created, doubled year-on-year, while agriculture and services also expanded robustly. Inflation has begun to ease, 20.12% in August, and it's consistently month after month, last 5 months has been coming down. Our trade surplus, 7.4 trillion, reserves risen to $42 billion. And as we know, the Naira has not only stabilized, it has even strengthened. But this progress is not by chance. It's a result of deliberate, intentional, and strategic policies anchored on the President's renewed hope agenda. And the renewed hope agenda is anchored on economic transformation, inclusive growth, and national prosperity. But it recognizes the interconnected roles of finance, public policy, technology in unlocking Nigeria's full potential. So the key focus areas have been stabilizing the macroeconomic environment, creating jobs, reducing poverty, mobilizing private sector investment, whether domestic, whether foreign, and driving inclusive, as an earlier speaker said, and focused on digital and financial innovation. And so it's against this policy framework that we have had market correction, ending the costly subsidies and foreign exchange distortions, which benefited some, but left the majority in need, and even left the government without enough resources, whether at the state and the federal level. And we must link what the governor of Nasarawa State said. We must link that with the fact that these measures have been taken. That's where the resources came from that are now flowing down to the states and indeed the local governments. So we've removed the privileges that benefited a few at the expense of the many. And we've replaced inefficiency with transparency, with competitiveness, and with incentives for productive activity. No longer is the playing field such that unless you know some people, you don't have access. You don't have access to foreign exchange. You don't have access to permits and licenses to be able to implement your business plan. It is now a level playing field. Likewise, in restoring fiscal discipline, rebuilding investor confidence, and strengthening our financial buffers. We've already talked about the growth in the foreign exchange reserves. There's also growth in Naira revenue, in domestic revenue, and non-oil revenue has increased substantially. And of course, when you reduce inflation, you put money in people's pockets, you make purchasing power stronger for households. But the key, and the president's aim, is to mobilize both domestic and foreign investment in areas that have the greatest multiplier effect. And that's exactly what the Northern Elders Forum is focusing on today. Mining, agriculture, power. Northern Nigeria is at the center of effort in these areas. Likewise, we are pursuing power. It was said earlier that you cannot have industrialization without power. There's an important World Bank and African Development Bank program, which Nigeria will be the major beneficiary, which is looking to provide electricity to 300 million additional Africans by the year 2030. And it will mobilize $32 billion for energy industrialization. Why are we growing at 4% now and targeting 7%? No country has reduced poverty without sustained growth above population growth. So our population growth maybe is just under 3%. So we are looking to grow at twice the rate of population growth in order to be able to lift people out of poverty in their millions, which is the ultimate aim of Mr. President's policies. So our medium-term goal remains to double incomes and significantly reduce poverty. Why is the northern region central to the opportunities that lie ahead? Our agricultural self-sufficiency, our mining competitiveness, and our industrial base will largely rise or fall depending on how we unlock, as the governor of Zamfara said, how we unlock the North's potential. And that's why the president's administration's strategic reforms place mining, agriculture, and power in the North at the heart of our growth agenda. What are those opportunities? As we have just heard, the North holds some of the most valuable mineral deposits in Africa. Gold, lithium, tin, zinc, limestone, coal, all available in the North. And new reforms are formalizing artisanal mining, attracting credible investors, and as we have heard earlier today in the lithium, for example, and ensuring that host communities benefit directly. And that is critical, ensuring that host communities benefit directly, thereby avoiding some of the problems that can come from when host communities feel left out. So we are building value chains, so Nigeria no longer just exports raw materials, but also processes those raw materials into batteries, cement, industrial inputs. Let me turn to agriculture. With 70% of Nigeria's arable land located in the north, agriculture is both the region's heritage and its future. And key to unlocking that agricultural potential is really the word, is things like the infrastructure that was referred to by the chairman, key infrastructure, such as the Sokoto-Badagry highway that will link so many states and their dams and their ability to provide irrigation, as well as link it all the way down to the south, all the way down to the ports. It's that kind of transformational infrastructural development that is being undertaken by Mr. President's, under Mr. President's Renewed Hope agenda. And these are the things that are being done differently that give us tremendous optimism that at last some of the discussions which the Nigerian Economic Summit Group was undertaking in the 90s are now coming to fruition. The goal is to build agro-industrial corridors where crops, they don't just feed the market, but they supply flour mills, textile factories, and export hubs. Looking at power and industrialization, energy, of course, is the oxygen of industrialization. Without power, there can be no factories, no agro-processing, and no jobs at scale, which is what Nigeria needs. Of course, we now have the Ministry of Livestock Development, and that's an important innovation that portends great value. But in terms of going back to power, we do have the AKK, the Ajaokuta Kaduna Kano pipeline, and that is a strategic project. When completed, and it's almost completed, it will deliver natural gas for power generation and industrial use across the whole of northern Nigeria. And coupled with the Mission 300, which, as I said earlier, is unlocking about $32 billion in energy and industrial investment, we are laying the foundation for a northern Nigeria that is fully powered and industrialized. Imagine a northern Nigeria where textiles in Kaduna, cement in Sokoto, fertilizer in Bauchi, agro-processing in Kano, and mining, Your Excellency, in Zamfara, are all powered by reliable and affordable energy. That is the vision of Mr. President. Let me also mention that when under the President's Renewed Hope agenda, we talk about rapid growth. We are already accelerating to 4% growth, with industrial growth at 7% in the last quarter. So you are getting to rapid growth, but you want it to be sustained. And it is being sustained over the last few quarters. But importantly as well is inclusive growth, growth that creates jobs. And the inclusivity also includes something His Excellency Mr. President had always committed to, that in undertaking reforms that have some adjustment pains, we call them, the poor and the most vulnerable will not be left behind. So social stability is as important as macroeconomic stability. There have been direct benefit transfers where over 330 billion naira has been provided to about 8.1 million households. At least one tranche of the funds. 2.4 million households have received two, and 78% of the beneficiary households are in the north. And this is verifiable because each person is uniquely identified. They have a NIN, we have their biometrics. They have a digital method of payment, which means they are paid by their bank account or they are paid by a mobile wallet. And so it really is the gold standard. If you watched the news last week, the British, who 65 years ago granted us our independence formally after a battle by our founding fathers, they are only now trying to ensure that each of their workers has a digital ID. We already have a gold standard that has 8 million households identified now. In another month or so, we will have completed 10 million, and we expect by the end of the year to have a national social register that is world-class, robust, can be used time and time again, and it will cover 15 million households, 75 million Nigerians overall. So that is the social safety net that is being put in place alongside the major reforms to unlock the potential of the Nigerian economy. Let me say, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, the message I bring is clear. The future of Nigeria's prosperity is inseparable from the future of northern Nigeria. If we unlock the North's minerals, we secure a new era of industrial competitiveness. If we unlock the North's agriculture, we guarantee food security and global export leadership. If we unlock the North's power, we ignite a wave of industrialization that will employ millions of Nigerians. President Tinubu's economic vision is to build strong, stable, and inclusive economy where government clears obstacles out of the way, where the private sector provides the engine of growth, and where every Nigerian can rise. The North is not just a part of the country, it is the engine of the country. So together, let us seize this moment to transform northern Nigeria into the powerhouse of Nigeria's prosperity. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for Chief Wale Edun, representative of President Bola Tinubu. And before he even sits down, let me just make these quotes so that you can appreciate Mr. President once again. The future of Nigeria's prosperity is inseparable from the future of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And President Tinubu's vision, he said, is to build strong and inclusive Nigeria. And he therefore urged us that northern Nigeria must be built if Nigeria should be built. Please put your hands together for President Bola Tinubu, here represented by Chief Wale Edun, Honorable Minister of Finance. That appreciation, I don't think is loud enough. We're talking of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Without much ado, let me very warmly welcome the representative of the Executive Governor of Kano State. He came in while the representative of the President was speaking. I'm talking of His Excellency Alhaji Aminu Abdul Salam, Deputy Governor Kano State. He is here representing his principal, Governor Abba Yusuf. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you. We'll certainly now go to the main papers of the day. We had earlier announced that There will be 2 paper presentations. Each will take 15 minutes. The first is the future of northern regional infrastructure, and the second is electrifying northern Nigeria 2025 to 2035.